What's up, guys? Wade Willis here to break down episode 14 of Higurashi Sots. This might have been the craziest episode of Sots. We finally got to new story, and to be honest, from what I've seen online and people in my comments, it is pretty mixed in your opinion of the episode. Some people loved it, thought it was super exciting, thought it was like the best episode of Go or Sots. Then other people thought it was incredibly silly and stupid because it kind of became like a kind of almost a weird battle shonen type of battle. And you know what? I'm kind of in the middle. And yeah, guys, before I go any further, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video if you like it. You guys know I cover a ton of When They Cry content, and I have a lot more in store for you guys coming up. Now, I'm going to go into some of the things that I liked and perhaps didn't like in the episode. And yeah, just kind of break down my thoughts and like some theories for the final episode of Sots. I did enjoy the episode, and there were some things that really shocked me in it. The first shock was them we've gotten to that showdown with Rika and Satoko in the classroom, and I think this episode was the fourth time they'd shown it. And I was really anticipating like an absolutely insane showdown right there with the gun. Rika was gonna fight for it, and then it's just Satoko shooting her right away and then shooting herself, and I was like, wow, I cannot believe that's what happened. Now it makes sense because then they start going through in loops, and one of my gripes that I had is that it was a bit confusing as to like what was going on. It seemed like at first it was obvious that Satoko was killing Rika over and over again. At least that's how it seemed. And then they start going through where they're fighting through in different like fragments, and I'm like, how the hell was that happening? Is this just supposed to symbolize them fighting over and over again? But it seemed like the battle was continuing, and like the things they were fighting over were like landing in different fragments. It was kind of confusing, and I thought perhaps a bit unnecessary. At least like explain what was going on. I guess how I'm interpreting it is that Aua was like kind of shifting them through fragments throughout the battle. But either way, it was confusing, and it was kind of like silly. It really reminded me, and I always tie things into Star Wars, but in Star Wars, the newest movie, how they're doing like the mini lightspeed jumps, and then the TIE fighters are able to like follow them through like these jumps through hyperspace like that are like milliseconds, and it just like didn't it was silly in that. I thought it was a bit silly in this, but you know what I mean. I love Higurashi. I kind of look past it and I'm like, okay, whatever, this is wild, we got some weird witch stuff going on, all right, I'm here for it. The fight itself was kind of cool. My favorite parts of it were one, Aua just like laying on her bed, like watching and laughing, making Hanyu just like suffer. It was like such a weird scene, and made Aua really look kind of like majestic and like kind of like a Marie Antoinette, like let them eat cake kind of person. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then of course the best thing was Rika calling out Satoko for Satoko's BS. And basically like, yeah, you couldn't freaking study, and like all the things that I've been bitching about for like, I don't know, like half a year, I guess. Like just, Rika was doing the same thing, and um someone pointed out in my comments that Rika does have some memory of going to St. Lucia, because episode 2 of Go, we know that she remembers she was there and then all of a sudden disappears. So I had actually forgotten that. But it seems like there are some parts where like Rika is kind of able to predict stuff that Satoko would have done. And how Rika would have acted in the situations, and basically saying like, yeah, I know how you are, Satoko. Like, you have no one to blame but yourself. I invited you to things you chose not to, and like wanted to play the victim and all this stuff. And I actually really like that a lot. And I know some people didn't like it because it was like stupid, but kind of the whole premise for Go and Soats is that Satoko was had this happen, and she became like very possessive and selfish and needed to have Rika and was willing to put her through hell just so she can have her to herself. So that was kind of the basis for this, and Rika basically calls her out on that. And yes, there's so much more, and it is deeper, and there's other stuff with Satoko, and yes, we're making it seem more simple, but for argument's sake, I thought it was really cool how Rika was doing that. I loved it. But yeah, the battle itself was so dang long. And to be honest, it was exciting. We knew that Rika would like get control at the end because I mean it is Rika's show. Is she going to pull the trigger? Is Hanyu going to pull a stunt for her? Who knows? But I did think it was pretty exciting. I for what Higurashi is, I could have, perhaps had that be a little bit shorter and get more plot. But we didn't get it, so I'm not going to complain too much. It just, I feel like Go and Soats. My kind of gripe with it is it really extends things I didn't want extended necessarily or didn't need extended, and then things that are really good in the show are really quick and kind of over with uh, very suddenly. And um, yeah, I that's just how I feel about it. I still love this show and the series, but that's just kind of how I see it. One of the best things, though, I like love Rika, but I thought the way that they were showing Satoko like kind of like kill her over and over again, or at least that's how I was taking it. There were some really gruesome scenes, and it kind of showed like the madness of Satoko again. Like, oh, the frying pan part was the worst. Like that really messed me up, and I thought that was really a powerful scene. And I thought that was actually one of the best things they did in the show. Again, continuing to show us the madness of Stoko. And yeah, then it ends with Aua kind of calling Hanyu out and saying like, "Okay, let's see what your miracle is." Um, and yeah, now we're gonna get into some theories. So I believe it was Tommy Vasquez. Um, he had one theory that I thought was like really interesting, and he said, or one theory is that Aua and Hanyu can merge into one and become Feathering. And how I'm interpreting it, once Feathering's there, I haven't even gotten to Feathering in Umineko, but I feel like I know that she's like OP and stuff. Maybe she's gonna like change how she is and like not be kind of as vicious, or maybe help Rika out of this situation. But yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. And that would be kind of cool, especially since they've been kind of hinting at that Hanyu and Aua are like related in a way. And Aua, even in this past episode, said that like you are a part of me or something like that. So I thought that was a really good theory. Now, obviously, Hanyu's going to pull a major stunt here. That theory is obviously pretty good idea. I could see Hanyu kind of like go in there, maybe help Rika take out Satoko, because I feel like Rika's gonna have trouble actually like going through with killing Satoko. I don't think that Rika will kill herself like Aua thinks. I don't see that as happening, and they've really been kind of playing up how arrogant Aua is. Excuse me, and I think it's going to come to bite her in the butt. And really, right now, they've basically uh, Satoko and Rika have kind of become witches since both of them have lived hundreds of years in loops at this point. Both of them have kind of become different people. They have this skill with this sword and like somewhat magic abilities with this sword and shard. I I am now feeling stronger about them becoming Burn and Lambda, and kind of their bickering and stuff is at least how I see in Umineko how far I am. Seems more like Burn and Lambda Delta than it sounds like Rika and Satoko. I feel like they've shifted all the way. I feel like the pendulum is passed. I feel like a lot of this season they were Rika was kind of in the middle. Satoko was a little bit over. Obviously, once Satoko kind of killed her, the what was left of her conscience, she was pretty far over. Now it seems like they're both essentially witches to me. The humanity in them is kind of uh, absent to a certain extent. And I'm not saying Rika's bad, but she's kind of like numb to a lot of things, and this has made her um, more like Burn. Yeah, I feel like even stronger after this last episode. If they end in this next one at 15 and that's the end of Higurashi, I will be incredibly disappointed. I'm hoping this sets something up. I don't feel good about this being the end. And I feel like it was kind of a bit unnecessary to do for the story unless it's setting something else up. And I hope that's what it's doing. Maybe we don't get. Maybe this is kind of the end of Higurashi and we go into a hybrid story, or this was the whole purpose of this was to set up Umineko or Sakonia. I would be fine with it then if that's how they bring people into those stories. I'm cool with it, but if that's just that, I'm going to be actually very disappointed. Um, and to be honest, Go is what brought me into the When They Cry universe, so I'm not going to be like disappointed that this came out. Like it did bring me, and I know there's some other people that came to this whole universe because Go was released, but as a story itself, I would be not as big of a fan of it if this is how Higurashi completely ends and they just made it to make it, and yeah, I would just not have the best opinion. But I'd love to hear what you guys thought about the episode. Again, I thought it was pretty fun. I liked it. It wasn't necessarily my favorite episode of Sots, but it was definitely up there. I just took the Battle Shonen stuff and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing this episode. I got it. Reminded me some of the like Umineko like witch battles, and for people who've only gotten into Higurashi and they like really love Higurashi and then are watching this, I can understand why this would really bother you. If you also like Umineko, I feel like they were, again, this is trying to tie elements from Umineko over. Really reminds me of some of the witch battles I have witnessed. And again, I'm not spoiling anything really with that, but yeah, this was more of a Umineko vibe than Higurashi vibe, and it's kind of been like that the last few episodes to me. But again, guys, let me know your thoughts, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this last episode, and I got my fingers crossed for the finale that I hope is not a finale, and my again, my skit video will be out very soon, so be on the lookout for that, guys.